Hi, I'm Maddie Carrington. I'm a member here. I am a member here at the Mount Tahoma Seventh-day Adventist Church. I am the head deaconess here, and we are adaptable. Since this COVID-19, we have not been able to have communion, so we have to adapt. And today I'm going to be illustrating how we make our communion bread that appears every time we take communion in our sanctuary. Before I get started making the communion bread, the first thing I do is I have a word of prayer. And I ask the Lord to forgive me of my sins and my transgressions so that when I'm making this bread, I can make it with a clean hands and a clean heart. And that's what we'll do right now. Dear Jesus, thank you for this opportunity. Forgive me for my sins and transgressions. Bless my efforts here today. In Jesus' most holy name, amen. It's a really simple recipe. The first thing we do is we add in a cup of brown flour. We add in a cup of white flour. And you're probably saying, why do you do that? One of the reasons I do that is because I want the bread symbolizes God's body, and I want the bread to resemble his olive skin. And then I add in a half a teaspoon of salt. Once the salt is combined with the flour, and what a lot of people call it communion bread, or they call it unleavened bread, and it's unleavened bread because it has no rising agents in it. The next thing I'll do is add my liquids, which will be a half a cup of olive oil and almost a half cup of cold water. I usually just leave a little of the water left in the bowl because that's what the recipe calls for, which will also be made available to you. And then I mix the ingredients together. It's pretty simple, and once all the ingredients have absorbed all of the flour, then I will go in with my hands and combine it even further. This is pretty simple, but the main part of making unleavened bread is to make sure you knead the bread for 15 minutes. Now you may want to say, I don't have to knead the bread for that long because that just takes too long. It won't come out right. It needs that 15 minutes. And I'm going to illustrate how I would knead it. I would set the alarm, the timer, and I would do this for literally 15 minutes. And while you're doing this, you could be thinking about Jesus' love for you, his sacrifices for you. Remembering, he's telling us to remember to do this in remembrance of him. And once the dough, I should say, is combined for 15 minutes, I just pretty much roll it out on the pizza stone. Once it's rolled out on the pizza stone, to like a cracker thinness, I then take my knife, and then I will make little crackers, little lines, horizontal and vertical on the dough. And these actually make the little pieces of communion bread that we consume here at Mount Tahoma. Once that is done, I forgot to tell you, you need to preheat your oven onto 400 degrees. That should be done before you start making your communion bread. And then you're just going to put little holes throughout the bread. What the knife does is it forms the crackers, so when they come out of the oven, they break where you have placed the marks. So now I'm just going to put this in the oven on 450. And I'm going to keep it in there for 12 to 15 minutes until the bread is dry, no visible wetness is found on the bread. And then you should have something like this. We have a little TV magic, kind of did it already for you so you can see. You just break it up to the size that you like for your church family. And there you have it. Communion bread, unleavened bread. We're here at Mount Tahoma. We are adaptable. Thank you.